that's where our name comes from. We got it from a storage unit in Santa Fe that had this cool pine tree painted on it and said Lone Piñon storage unit. And later we met the family that owned that, and they said, yeah, before that it was a Lone Piñon auto repair on the spot, and before that it was a Lone Piñon because the field was, they had sheep there in a couple different fields, and that was the area that was irrigated by the acequias. They would always say, oh, they're out by the Lone Piñon, because there was one Lone Piñon tree there. So that's the story that it ended up becoming so many things, and now it's a band. And
Perfect.
Yeah, and we met the heirs of the family, and it turns out they're like cousins of one of the musical mentors of the group. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty small world.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with Jordan Wax of the New Mexican roots band Lone Piñon. We revisit their 2019 album Nuevas Acequias, Río Viejo, exploring the traditional music of northern New Mexico, the stories behind the music, and a unique wedding song that would go on for up to 45 minutes. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us all the way from Santa Fe, New Mexico, Jordan Wax of the band Lone Piñon.
Hello, thanks for having me. Thank you for your applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Folks are excited. Tamara and Chris joining us from Minnesota with the Udapils Pilsner on a hot day. Sounds good.
Nice.
Connie saying hi from Richfield. Alan, happy Virtual Friday, everybody. It's Shiner Bach straight from the bottle tonight, coming to us from Texas. Mother's Milk, Joe getting back to the show from East Minneapolis. And
excellent. Welcome
happy
back,
to have you. Yes. Yeah. And we're happy to have all of you out there. If you are joining us for the live show, then chime in the chat. Tell us where you are tuned in from, if you're enjoying a beverage or a snack. This is our weekly happy hour. No matter what time you are listening to the show, again, we like to bring those Friday vibes to you. And Tony, how are things in Minneapolis? I'm actually not there as I usually am. So tell us, what's the weather report from South Minneapolis?
It's 88 and sunny. It feels a little warmer than that with all the humidity, but it's not as bad as it was last week. We had quite a heat wave come through. So not complaining, not too bad here in the studio today either.
And are you doing anything to cool off there?
I am. I'm a little behind. I haven't poured it yet, but I have my Deschutes freshly squeezed. But it's an NA version of this.
Oh, very cool.
Which is actually pretty good. And it's even better in my Back Catalog Listening Party pint glass.
Oh, look at that. Pouring so nice.
Right now, yeah.
Awesome.
How about you?
Well, I am joining you all from the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, just south of Lake Placid in Keene Valley, New York, at the family farm. And so I'm here on the third floor of a farmhouse. So it's a little toasty up here, but it's lovely in general, lovely weather. And I'm having a nice gin and tonic to cool off. And Jordan, you're joining us from your home in Santa Fe?
Yeah, it's beautiful weather here. It's like 80 degrees. It's been raining a lot. Everything is green. It's nice and breezy. And I've got a new Glarus Brewing Co. beer that someone gave us.
Upper Midwest.
Treasure. It's because my partner's house sitting for someone who took a trip to the Upper Midwest and came back, and this was the payment. So
I love that, because New Glarus, for folks who don't know, you can't get it outside Wisconsin. You have to physically be there to buy it. So.
Excellent. Well, cheers,
Jordan. You got a house sit for someone who's been there.
And cheers, Ellen, and cheers to all of you out there. Like Ellen said, this is a happy hour. It's our weekly chance to not only listen to music, but talk about music. So if you're out there watching live, definitely throw your questions and your comments for Jordan into the real-time chat, and we'll try to get to it before the end of the hour.
That's right. And Susan joining us from St. Regis, Montana.
Hey, welcome,
tell
Susan.
us how things are in the mountains there. And again, Welcome to all of you. We're really excited about today's show and excited about Jordan revisiting an older Lone Piñon record. And before we dig into the album, Jordan, maybe you can give a little background about yourself, about where you grew up, how you fell into making the kind of music you make.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in mid-Missouri, which is, as some of the fiddle nerds know, is a is a golden land of amazing fiddle music. And I was born in '82, so in the '90s, I was kind of started. Well, I started learning when I was 18, and that was kind of past the period where the kind of renaissance of Missouri fiddling when all those players were around. But I got to meet a lot of the musicians who were kind of on the younger side and remembered all that, and were still part of the cohort. And that really inspired me to get into traditional regional music and these forms of music that have been passed down for generation, and to get into that process of oral history where you're learning from someone face to face and getting all the cultural context as well as the tunes and the style. So that has always been a big part of my life. And then got into the Missouri fiddling. At the same time, was getting into Jewish music and klezmer, which has a whole tradition of working with old sources and the kind of ethic and skill set that takes. And then I moved to New Mexico about 13 years ago, and wasn't really playing music, and was working as a cook. And I knew that I started to miss it, and I missed that connection with the older people, and I knew that would be around here. So I started looking around and found the fiddle music pretty quickly, and started learning it here, and that led to further explorations here, and traveling to Mexico to learn some of the related styles that are connected to New Mexico a little more clearly than in Missouri.
Excellent. I love that about the fiddle tradition and the way that people are preserving it today, that it's just intertwined with the people who played it and their histories and the cultural histories. And we've had a few different groups on the program over the years, and it just blows my mind what a diversity of traditions there are in the U.S.
Yeah, it's an amazing just force of nature that this has evolved with humankind. And like you said, it's so interconnected to all the other elements of culture that you can't really it's very difficult to separate. And if you do separate it out, it often becomes one-dimensional pretty quick. So the challenge is, how do you preserve that whole the wholeness of it that includes so much more humanity than just a tune or something.
Yeah.
So you came up through the fiddle tradition. Were you playing other kinds of music before you kind of fell into the traditional regional music hole?
I was writing songs with my cousin, who continued to be a songwriter and is still a professional musician, David Wax, and his project is David Wax Museum. So we started writing songs together as teenagers, and had a garage band in high school, which that was kind of both of our music education.
Nice.
And the songwriting is still a really important part of my life, and continuing those traditions as well. So it's kind of been a blend. And I think a lot of the work I've done with traditional music incorporates some of the perspective of whatever you call that indie folk world of songwriters. And it's just a slightly different angle and approach than the pure folk traditions of community life in the 1920s. So it's kind of blending those things together,
blending a little bit of now with
exactly
with traditions.
And part of what it means to be a musician today, like and performance and that kind of thing, which actually wasn't that big of a deal before radio started. It was more about participation.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting segue maybe into talking about the album that we're going to listen to today. Here, I'll put it. I got to get that off. Put it on the screen here. This is focused a little more on traditional music.
That's right.
Kind of in contrast. Is that right?
Yeah. This is a project. The Lone Piñon is has been around for about 12 years, the project, and had different formations and iterations of the band. And this was an album that was recorded before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. Part of it was we had an invitation to go represent these traditions at the Festival of American Fiddle Tunes in Port Townsend, Centrum, which was really exciting. And so we had the album in time for that, which was great. But the idea was to kind of bring together all of our experience. At that time, the band was myself and Noah Martinez, who was in that past image. Yeah, that's cool. There's Noah and I. He played a multi-instrumentalist who was doing the upright bass and the rhythm instruments. In this case, he's got a bajo quinto, also played bajo sexto and guitar, and the quinta huapanguera, which is a central Mexican nylon stringed kind of low guitar, like a baritone kind of.
Cool.
And yeah, we really worked together. We were both really interested in learning these traditions and kind of pushing each other and supporting each other in the new things that we learned. So we were really had for about 6 years at that time been really getting into these old northern New Mexican traditions, which very few people play and no musicians were doing in the kind of performance context. So and as a result, there hadn't been any contemporary recordings really. The only, there was a recording of tunes in the 70s. And yeah, not a lot of, digitally available examples of this. So the idea was to kind of put everything that we had learned into this project. We was just two musicians and we multi-tracked instruments to do whatever we wanted and the idea at first was to try to represent all the genres of northern New Mexico tunes, there's the schottisch, the waltz, the polka, and then there's a lot of unique ones to New Mexico, the Indita, the Tarlian, the Cutilio, quadrilles, quadrillas, there's the marcha, the march. So that was kind of the prompt for the ranchera songs, swing tunes. Pasos dobles are beautiful, unique genre that kind of part of Mexican music and a little bit in New Mexico. So the idea was first to be like, can we make an album that shows all the genres? We ended up with 21 tunes, which
that's a lot of genres.
And I think we left a couple out. But that's enough. No one's gonna be as nerdy as we are to listen to this.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully there have been someone out there, as we were talking a little bit before it started, that like a lot of albums recorded right before the pandemic, it's hard to know the impact they made, because you're used to getting that in these kind of live interactions. And it was a really special statement to make. And when I was preparing for this, I was surprised reflecting back, like, oh yeah, we didn't hear that much about the impact it made. So it's nice to kind of get a chance to revisit it.
Yeah. Well, we are excited and we want to dig into tunes. We won't get to 21 of them, folks. But we're going to get to as many as we can. And
maybe if you need to do like a fundraising marathon at some point,
good idea. All 21.
We'll be up all night listening and talking. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, this is the first track you picked to feature from this album, La Entrega de las Canciones. And is there anything you want to say about this tune and what kind of genre this fits into?
Yeah, so this is a really special and unique genre called Entregas, which is a song form in northern New Mexico they're kind of community rituals. And the most common one is for weddings, which is something that people say that back in the day, let me know if I'm freezing. I see you guys freezing a little bit, but just tell me if I need to. Okay. Yeah. Back in the day, I've heard people say that the priests, when this was part of Spain, New Spain, the priests were coming up from Durango, Mexico, which is a very long wagon journey. And so they would not come very often and would not be here for very long. And according to the church, they had to be present to officiate a wedding. So in the meantime, when they weren't there, communities had to take things into their own hands and create their own rituals, even though they were Catholic. So the poets and musicians created this song form that at sometimes served as like the official marriage. They would do it on the steps of the church. And sometimes these entregas would last 40 or 50 minutes.
Sorry, how long was that? How long would they last?
Sometimes they'd last 40 or 50 minutes, apparently.
Wow.
Because there's several sections. There's this section where, for weddings, for example, where you honor all the guests and mention them in poetry, where they came from, and give them compliments. And then there's a section where you explain the importance of matrimony and the marriage to the couple. And then there's a part where you give them blessings and instructions. And then there's a part where it quotes the book of Genesis and explains the Adam and Eve and their whole story. So
wow.
It could take a really long time. So the fact that
is this all one song, or are they different?
It's all one song.
So like one song for a specific wedding with all of those components.
Yes. Wow. And it's all one melody too. And it's a very set thing. So the poets would be improvising a lot of times, or, have a repertoire of rhymes that they could rely on. So it goes back to this tradition of across Latin America, and in Mexico is still really popular, these folk poetry forms where people can, speak in meter and rhyme and to kind of create a ritual atmosphere. So there's entregas de los novios. There's entregas de los novios for weddings. There's entrega de los difuntos for funerals. There's all kinds of different entregas, and sometimes the people say entrega around here as well. So this one was really special because we wanted to create a new entrega, which was an entrega of the songs of the album. So
it's like an overture, kind of?
It's like an overture, yeah.
I love it.
Which was something that I was inspired by the klezmer group, Brave Old World, that uses some of the old ritual wedding rhymes in a similar form of ritual poetry. And they did an opening and closing to their album in that form. So I thought, oh, wow. And we reached out to this elder who is a poeta who does the entregas, and who is someone that, there's still a couple people, I think probably you could count them on one hand, who are elder men who you could call and say, I'm having a wedding, will you come do it? And you give them a list of all the people. And so this is Roberto Mondragon, is a songwriter and incredible person. He was a bilingual educator. There he is. Bilingual educator, advocate for bilingual education, our lieutenant governor for a while. And we asked him if he would say a couple things, and he composed a whole traditional Entrega de las Canciones to kind of honor the sources of the song. So it's kind of like the liner notes in a song
format.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the melody is a really cool melody we got on a field recording made by Ken Kepler and Jeannie McCleary. Bayou Seco did a lot of important field recording work that we've relied on in Chimayo, New Mexico, in I think in the 80s. This really cool kind of funky rhythmic entrega melody. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's give it a spin. I'm so excited. This is Lone Piñon here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Vengo a pedirles licencia para entregar unas canciones, cuales han sido escogidas para estas recién grabaciones. Unas resultan balseadas y otras a estilo tacuache. Las tocan duetos y bandas y hasta uno que otro mariache. unas como el carpintero, no las toca cualesquiera, nos llegan de los paisanos y don Antonio Rivera. Bailaremos el talián que mandan del río de la Vaca y varios shotes y polcas de doña Antonia Podaca. La danza varsoviana de origen Varsovia y Diana, que en nuestra lengua norteña resultó la Varceliana. El baile del paso doble no es muy fácil bailarlo, lo tocaron los Ortices, Maximiliano y el Lalo. El hermano Max Apodaca nos ha prestado un cutilio y aquí lo compartiremos si usted nos presta su auxilio. Tomás de Santa Fe ahora vive en el Dorado. Música de mandolina nos enseñó en el pasado. Cuando nos organizamos quedó un lugar poco hueco, pero no tardó en llenarlo el grupo del Bayo Seco. Y nos tocaron la Julia, don Cleofes y don Cipriano. Son Ortices y vigiles pa' bailar por todo el llano. Gregorio, Luis y violín era de pecos mentado. Tocaba muy bien las inditas, las cuales ya hemos bailado. Del agua fría y la grama tocaba el Henry Ortiz y también librado le iba el capullo de Alelí. Hay melodías y canciones en todos pueblos y villas, y si las menciono todas me tardaría varios días. Cuando fue formado el norte fue llenado de canciones. Parece que Santa Cecilia nos colmó de bendiciones. Los que cantan estas canciones se llaman el Lone Piñon. Estas coplas fueron dadas por Roberto Mondragón.
All right. La Entrega de las Canciones, kind of an overture to the album that we're revisiting today on the back catalog listening party from Lone Piñon. And again, it's a traditional music of northern New Mexico, and this is a particular style that Jordan was talking about. And I know that you have a whole translation, which we're going to put in the show notes of this song, but maybe you could highlight a few pieces of it, because there's some humor in there too, right?
Yeah. He goes through all the musicians, and then he says, hay melodías y canciones en todos pueblos y villas, y si menciono todos me tardaría varios días. There's tunes and songs in every little town and village. If I mention them all, it would take me several days. when the Norte was formed, it was filled with songs and music. It seems like Santa Cecilia, the saint of music, gave us a special blessing. And then he ends saying, the people who sing these songs are called Lone Piñon, and these verses have been given to you by Roberto Mondragon. So it's always ends with a sign off where the poet gives himself credit.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's wonderful. Well, more artists should take credit for their work. That's
right.
really wonderful.
Find something that rhymes with your name and just end every song with that.
Go with it.
Well,
That's
Lone
fantastic.
Piñon also has a lot of things that would rhyme with it, I would imagine.
We're lucky that we can get in a lot of songs. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the derivation of your name. We were talking about this before we started the show today, but because I was just in New Mexico recently and I saw piñon in everywhere from coffee shops to other places. So tell us, for those who don't know, what is a piñon?
Yeah, piñon in food, it's the nut of a pine tree, the pine nut, which there's delicious piñon coffee. You can eat the piñon by itself, and it's also the tree, the pine tree, that gives that nut, and that's where our name comes from. We got it from a storage unit in Santa Fe that had this cool pine tree painted on it and said Lone Piñon storage unit, and later we met the family that owned that, and they said, yeah, before that it was a Lone Piñon auto repair on the spot, and before that it was a Lone Piñon because the field they had sheep there in a couple different fields, and that was the area that was irrigated by the acequias, and when it was still agricultural around Agua Fria, part of Santa Fe, now it's a traditional village, and they would always say, oh, they're out by the Lone Piñon, because there was one Lone Piñon tree there. So that's the story that it ended up becoming so many things, and now it's a band. And
Perfect.
Yeah, and we met I ran into the heirs of the family, and it turns out they're like cousins of one of the musical mentors of the group. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty small world.
And I love that the band's name came from it's obviously went through many variations, but you said a storage unit, which was when you said, which seems like appropriate because you guys are kind of, at least in this album and in subsequent recordings, you are kind of being a little kind of library or storage unit for this music, and trying to both preserve it but share it with people so that people can enjoy it. So
that's right.
Kind of appropriate.
Like an open storage unit.
Yeah, no keys on this one.
Yeah.
Have you, since releasing this album, did you find new connections with any other people, like kind of who are interested in the history of music and culture in that region? Has it kind of added to that knowledge base?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's a good question. I think what we do is definitely a very small sliver of culture in New Mexico, and it's the traditional music has moved in different direction in New Mexico. This is music that is generally seen as very old-fashioned, and a lot of people who are generational New Mexicans don't identify it as New Mexican. It's no longer the music that people really identify with as the sound of the culture. So it's not a huge movement of people like you might think bluegrass or even old time music in Appalachia. It's a very, very small niche of subculture, but I think the fact that a few people are interested in is hugely inspiring to me, and feels like, wow, and that's part of why we wanted to record the album. Is just it's kind of impossible to find these things, and if you do, it's on old field recordings from the 50s that will blow out your ears if you listen to it too much. And not everyone likes to listen to stuff that was recorded on a
wax cylinder.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's wonderful, and I guess I was asking because it is so important, I think, to capture these things, even if it doesn't have a lot of commercial appeal. Just for the history, and I'm sure there's folks in the region that will appreciate it years from now.
Yeah, and we really, it's interesting to see, we connect with a lot of people who have a personal connection to the music and remember it, even though it's kind of passed out of the culture as being a recognizable symbol of the past and of identity. encounter more people who have a personal embodied experience of a family member or an experience. They used to go to dances and recognize that sound. So
excellent. Hey there, would you like to be part of the live show? Well, become a member of the Back Catalog Listening Party Patreon, and you'll get a backstage pass to weekly online tapings where you can ask the artist questions and participate in the live chat with a fun community of like-minded music nerds. You'll also get a first look at upcoming guests and receive invitations to special live streams and private after parties. So join the party today at patreon.com/Back Catalog Listening Party.
Joe was noting, obviously, Joe coming to the party, having done his homework, he said, Lone Piñon is very eclectic. I think I caught a tango on one of your tracks. So we're going to definitely try and get to as many as we can. But we should just mention that if you want to get this whole recording and get a broader picture of this music from northern New Mexico, you can go to lonepiñon.com or Bandcamp. You can download the high-res tracks and listen to all 21 of them.
Yes.
But we are going to get to one right now. And the next one is Mascando, Chíclete. And looks like it's a medley. Tell us, is there anything you want to say about this one?
Well, these are two Varsovianas, which the Varsoviana or the Varsovian, it's played all around, the Western world. It's Put Your Little Foot. I don't know if you guys have ever played that, and square dances in the Midwest call it Put Your Little Foot, and it's played in Mexico and Argentina and Europe. I think it's called something Shoe the Donkey or Kick the Donkey in Ireland.
Sounds like an old timey tune. For sure.
It's always some animals getting hurt in those titles.
And that tune was an incredibly popular dance for hundreds of years in New Mexico. So I mentioned, like, not a lot of people, a very small sliver of the population, still identifies with these really old sounds of New Mexico music, but the Varsoviana is the tune that people will know. And it's been beautiful to see since we started playing this music 10 years ago. And when we play on public plazas and stuff and play this tune, it's really, really moving to see a lot of the elder people get up and remember the dance, and they're trying, no, it went like this. No, it's like this, or sometimes they're teaching a grandkid or something. So this is kind of a dance that is really symbolic of the style. And these days there's only one melody, but it used to be a whole genre of melodies. So we tried to preserve a little of that by at least including two of them.
Excellent. Well, if you're listening to the audio podcast or watching on YouTube, feel free to dance along with Lone Piñon here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
great. I was dancing in my seat. Lone Piñon, there with a medley of tunes. And, this album, as you mentioned, features mainly a duo. And it started off sounding like a duo, and then it kind of built up from there. And I know you said you kind of overdubbed tracks. But I'd be curious to know, how many instruments were on that track, or what instruments were on that track? And also, it sounded like might have been some guest vocalists as well.
Yeah, that was Leah Martinez, who is married to the Noah Martinez, who's playing the instruments. And yeah, she sang on a couple tracks in the album, which is really great to have her. The instrumentation that was bajo quinto, mandolin, twin fiddles, upright bass, and accordion.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, can you describe what the bajo quinto?
The bajo quinto is a guitar that has double strings, and it has 5 courses of double strings, and it's tuned quite a bit lower than a 6-string guitar. So it's kind of a bass, double stringed bass baritone guitar. Yeah.
Wow.
You hear it a lot in norteño music. It came from central Mexico and was in some of the old school music in central Mexico. They played it a lot. But now it's mainly just played in northern Mexico and Texas and New Mexico and Southwest.
Well, I have a process question.
Sure.
I know a lot of this music, those traditional music, is dance music, and it's got this kind of feeling that comes from not just the instruments, but the people in the room with you dancing. And it's really remarkable kind of how you were able to capture that kind of energy with just 2 people doing overdubs. So I'm just curious if you had any tricks in the studio or ways to kind of bring it to life, or maybe it's just your own experiences, but it really, it does feel like there were more than 2 people in the room. So I'm just curious about your recording process for this.
Thanks. Well, I think the experience leading up to that is really important, that we have really tried to do what we can to play for dances in New Mexico. And we work with a great dance instructor named Lucy Salazar, who grew up doing the old school dances. Her grandfather was a fiddle player here in Cañoncito, not far from Santa Fe. And so that's been great to get a little bit of experience doing that. But also just, I think, in the recording sessions, like, exhaustion was kind of our key to getting to that point, where you're just having to kind of rely on the groove. And
did you have a click track? I mean, how do you keep a groove like that going, and that kind of back and forth energy?
I don't remember if we had a click track. I don't think so. I think we did this all, we played live with fiddle and bajo sexto, and then we went and added the other things.
So there was that component to kind of create a foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And the 2 of us have done just a lot of shows with a lot of kind of dance energy. So
very cool.
Yeah, definitely was not something that would have followed a click, I don't think.
No, I assume there wasn't, but it was, again, it just really had this kind of organic feel. So it was the initial kind of duo recording that I'm probably hearing as the foundation of rhythms.
And trying to, I think, work with the rhythms that are in the tune and in those melodies, like the Varsovianas, for example, it's a waltz. You hear that dung chung chung dung chung chung, but then there's also the dung da do like a 6/8 thing that is in those tunes. So kind of trying to bring that out with different instruments, if possible. It's kind of something you can tune into. Yeah,
you did it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and folks, if you're liking the music as much as we are and dancing along, then you want to get the high res tracks, because earlier Jordan was mentioning that there really aren't a lot of field recordings, but as he also mentioned, field recordings can be challenging to listen to, because for modern listeners, because they're just recorded as it sounds like at the source, and not necessarily professional recordings. This, however, is. And so if you're wanting to get at the root of some of this music and hear it in a way that just sounds fantastic, you should definitely check it out and download the high-res tracks. And if you get to see Lone Piñon live, I hear they have maybe a couple discs left. So if you see them, grab them or buy them. And support the band, because, and I know you're on tour a lot this summer. And I know the band has, evolved over the years. And how are you currently? You're currently touring more than a duo, I know.
That's right. Now it's a quartet. It's myself, Tanya Nunez on the upright bass, Santiago Romero, who plays guitar or vihuela sometimes, and then Karina Wilson, who's a violinist. So and then this is a group that's been kind of since the pandemic, we've been working together, and we have an album on Jalopy Records that you can also find. And definitely this thread of the old school stuff has kind of continued, but we've moved on to kind of create really exciting performance versions that are going to be really fun on festival stages. We're going to be at the Minnesota Bluegrass Festival, August 7th through 10th.
Hey.
It's our neck of the woods.
Yeah. So you're going to, I think this was a chance with this album, the Nuevas Acequias that we're listening to kind of nerd out and kind of present the music. We definitely did our own aesthetics, but to kind of really get into to serve the music and create this document. And then I think we've moved on to really focusing on performance and trying to figure out how in a 70-minute set or a 45-minute set we can connect the audience in the most powerful and dramatic way to this tradition so that they get a chance to experience. So that's what we're going to be bringing on the road this summer.
Yeah. Well, you can learn about all their tour dates and pick this music up at lonepiñon.com. We'll have a link at the show notes at backcataloglisteningparty.com as well.
That's right. And we're also going to have some of these photos we've been enjoying and the translations of some of these tunes. So make sure to check that out if you're listening to the audio podcast. And if you're joining us for the live show, feel free to join in the chat if you have any questions for Jordan about this music. I'm learning a ton, and this is so much fun. You were talking about only music nerds are interested. Well, that's us. That's this group right here.
You found the right spot.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com.
Oh, Susan was commenting on the cover art, which is by Sean Wells. And that was a really cool part of the project. There's this part of the visual art tradition in New Mexico is called retablos, are these religious images. It's iconography that, folk artists started making for homes and churches. And a lot of younger artists have picked this up. There's a yearly market in Santa Fe of Spanish, traditional art forms, visual art forms. And Sean Wells is a artist in our generation who does that and learned the traditional style. And so we commissioned her to create this modern image, but in the retablo style of the duo. So yeah, that was a really fun part.
And which one of these is the piñon tree? I'm guessing one of those is.
Well, in the background, the fuzzy one.
Okay.
That's the piñon.
The ghost kind of.
The ghost tree. That's right. Yeah.
I love that. That's wonderful. Well, you should check it out. And again, if you're able to get a physical copy, do, but you can download all the high-res tracks, as we like to say in the Back Catalog Listening Party. As good as it sounds on the streaming services and here on the show, it's going to sound even better if you get those high-res tracks. And it's a great way of supporting the band and their new work, as well as these wonderful kind of archives, which are so important. We're going to get to as many tracks as we can. And the next one is another kind of medley. Is there anything you want to say about this set of Cutilios?
Do we have that photo? I think there's a photo that corresponds to this one. We could show the folks who are watching.
Yeah, can you remind me which one?
Is it Antonia playing the old school in the 1954 dance?
Let's see here. Is this one here or no? Hold on for a second.
There it is. Yeah, 1955. That's Antonia on the far left playing the electric guitar, and her husband Max Apodaca. Antonia is an important mentor for me. I met her when she was about 90 years and started going to visit her and play with her in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And she was an accordionist. At that time, she was just playing the accordion, wasn't playing guitar anymore. And in addition to a lot of her music, like the last track we heard, like I learned those lyrics from her, and there she is playing the guitar. Yeah. The previous picture, you see her husband Max, who she accompanied a lot while he was still alive. He died quite a bit earlier than she did. They were both from the area of Rociada, New Mexico, which is roughly around Las Vegas in northern New Mexico, and a little village, and both came from generational music families. And so through Antonia, we learned a lot of music that she had learned from her family, some through Max and her uncle, who was another generation. And he was actually recorded by a folklorist named Juan Rael, whose recordings you can get at the Library of Congress, all streaming, the Smithsonian. And he recorded her uncle in 1940, Adolfo Chavez, playing with his cousin Adelaido Chavez. And Antonia learned a lot of music from them, so we were able to find this recording and learn a tune that he played that you're going to hear in the middle of the medley. And the other two are from Max Apodaca, her husband, and you'll hear the musicians and the crowd, like there's a really distinctive crookedness of the phrases where there's an extra bar, or it's extra half a bar, which kind of makes the dance not get boring. So you'll hear this really distinctive, and also like it's a very kind of Western driving kind of square dance fiddling in this. Cutilio means it's like the same as cotillions, and they're often, that's a genre of New Mexico fiddling that kind of absorbed a lot of square dance music. So and there's a dance that goes with it, the quadrilla, which is similar and involves a lot of square dance moves. So yeah.
All right, well, let's give it a spin. Lone Piñon here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Yeah.
All right. I was
Shaving a
waiting for another
haircut.
psych out. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that was
Yeah.
a nice touch there at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that medley of tunes definitely had that sort of dance feel and that live energy we were talking about, because it felt like, I don't know if it actually was getting faster or not, but I felt like, all I know is that I would have been very out of breath if I was
Yeah.
dancing to that.
Yeah.
That's going at a good clip right there.
Yeah.
Uh,
We kept
was that
stepping it up.
unconscious, or were you kind of trying to again
Well,
capture that momentum?
yeah, I tried to sequence the tunes in a way that the set builds like that, and the energy
Mhm.
kind of leans forward each time, and and
Oh,
those
Nice.
are really energetic tunes that are
Yeah.
really fun to play.
Tons of fun. You can really hear that square dance
Yeah,
influence
Yeah.
there. You
yeah,
mentioned.
they're
yeah.
really, really cool. Well, do you play a lot of dances now, or are they like, does dancing just happen kind of naturally from the concert performance?
Yeah, it kind of just happens naturally. We try to we like I mentioned, we work with this dance leader, and
Mm.
we've had a project kind of going over the years to, you know, if we're lucky, a couple times a year to organize a dance, and Lucy comes and teaches these steps, because a lot of the tunes, like on this album, the genres go with certain steps that are kind of like like square dancing, but there's a certain dance that fits a certain
Mhm.
genre of tunes, and so it's
Mhm.
really fun to get to reconnect the dancing with the music, and
Yeah.
people have a great time. It's just a technology for fun and connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is so important right
Yeah,
now, to
yeah,
physically be together with people and connect in
yeah.
new ways. And Tamara had chimed in the live chat saying your stories remind me of seeing the chocolate drops, the Carolina chocolate drops, and how they were with the elders in Appalachia learning their historical music. And I do kind of see that connection. And it's interesting you say you came up through kind of learning some of the Missouri old time fiddle music and these other traditions, and now rooted in the northern New Mexico. But how many similarities there are, not just in some of the musical forms, but and the dances, as you mentioned, but also like that connection to stories and history and community and dance. And I
Exactly.
it makes sense that you would be at the Minnesota Bluegrass August
Mhm.
Festival, because there's that tradition in spades, even if it's
Yeah.
kind of giving a different angle to it.
Yeah, I think, one of the things, as I've lived in different places and worked in different places, just seeing that this is a movement that uh, happens naturally in so many different places, and it's just part of the changes in culture that we've all been going through in relationships to place, um, and I feel like my work in particular is really informed by these parallel movements, whether it's the Carolina Chocolate Drops or groups in Mexico or the Midwest or the klezmer music, or you really see people are fighting the same battles and using the same skill sets, and you can learn a lot from each other. And that's why it's really fun to get to take this music on tour and bring it to other places like Louisiana. We played
Mm.
uh, last October, and it was really cool to see those parallels and to kind of connect these different struggles for continuity and resilience with other people who are doing the same work in a different cultural context, a different landscape, but it's very, very similar work.
Yeah,
Nice.
very cool. Well, the time has gone
I
really
know.
fast here. We definitely need that marathon show to get to
Yeah.
more of these
Yeah.
We're gonna
tracks.
take you up on that, Jordan.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a big fundraiser for something, and we're gonna do 21 songs of
Yeah.
Lone Piñon.
That's
Well, if you
right.
need to kill some time, like that's that thing we were talking about, how traditional music has all these layers of context, and that means there's about endless information. It could do a whole hour on one track.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we love it. I know all our music nerd friends are loving it.
great.
And we're going to get to one more song real quick. But before we do, I got to take this opportunity to take care of some business and thank the folks that support this show. It's, again, all about community,
Yeah.
people coming together to support music, independent artists, and just valuing these traditions and these stories and this music you won't hear anywhere else, or has fallen by the wayside either through the pandemic or through time, and is really important for us all to learn from and enjoy.
Mhm.
So we want to thank these folks who support our Patreon and have supported the show now going on for 5 years. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, Hetty, Sandy, Neighbor Ann, BZ, Alyssa, Paul, and maybe you. If you're listening out there, if you're a music nerd and you're like, oh, I'm loving this music and I want to get on the live chat so I can geek out with Jordan and all these cool musicians, well, you can do that. You just go to patreon.com/back catalog listening party, sign up and you'll get invites to the live tapings. You might get one of those cool back catalog listening party pint glasses, other cool events. So if you're interested in supporting the show, you can check that out. You also get first look at all the guests and what's coming up on the podcast. So you can check that out. But mainly, we appreciate you all being here to enjoy the music. And we appreciate Jordan for taking this hour out of his lovely New Mexico weather to sit with us and geek out.
This is a lot of fun. Thanks so much for having me. It's awesome to connect with the community you guys have cultivated.
So fun. Well, we're going to get to one more song here. And Indita de Cochití. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that name. So I'll let you pronounce it and say something about it.
It's the Indita de Cochití.
Cochití with the accent.
Yeah, there's different Inditas that so far all the ones, well, a lot of them are named after the pueblos. And Cochití is a pueblo close to right south of Santa Fe. And this, I think there's a picture in there, a black and white photo. Oh yeah, that's the musician we got this particular tune from, is Clovis Ortiz, and that's he's up in Bernal, New Mexico. Behind him is this famous mountain, Starvation Peak, Cerro de la Hambre, and
looks like a little kid back there too.
Yeah, a little kid too, a little duende back there, little nephew or something. We worked with some students of his, Ken Kepler and Jeannie McCleary, who worked with him really closely and learned a lot of his music and connected us to his music, even though he had passed away before I started playing this stuff. And the Indita is a really interesting genre of tune. We've seen in historical documents that it used to be played in California too, in Southern California, but then disappeared and there were no recordings. I think there was some sheet music written. But it continued to be a part of the music tradition in northern New Mexico. And there's a dance that goes with it that is in some communities, we heard that it was used as like a way to honor the native neighbors, or like a kind of communion. It was kind of similar to the round dance style of Pueblos and Navajo round dances. So, and the rhythm is really interesting. There's no standard rhythm to play Inditas, but they always have a very interesting individualistic approach. And so this was Noah based this rhythm off some recordings. And I was just listening today and was like, I think it's in 7/8 at some time, which was really, it's like, it never occurred to me, but I think that's how you would count it out. But it's a really interesting rhythm that has been passed down as always something really different that who knows where it comes from, if it's from indigenous music, if it's from the Caribbean, if it's from an Afro, New Mexican, Hispanic influence, but a really special genre of music. And melodically, modally is really interesting too. So really, really cool style.
Excellent. Well, great tune to finish our hour here with Lone Piñon on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
All right.
Nice.
Lone Piñon here on the back catalog listening party from their 2019 album, revisiting traditions of northern New Mexico here on the back catalog listening party. What a fun hour,
That was
Jordan.
so much fun.
Thank you.
Holy moly.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to get to talk to you and to revisit the music.
Yeah, and
so great.
you, thanks all you folks out there with your great questions and comments. Tamara says, thank you. This was a great hour. Connie says, fascinating show. Thank you so much. And Susan says, so much fun. Thank you so much. And we'll just second and third that. Jordan, this was super cool, and can't wait to see you next time you're here in Minnesota in August.
Yeah. Hope to meet you guys in person then.
Yes.
And anyone in the who's listening who can come. It'd be great to meet you and share this music in person.
Yeah, and lonepignon.com is how you can find out all their tour dates. They're a very busy band. They have a new album out, so you can check that out. And then again, you can download this album we revisited today at bandcamp.com or go to their website. But stay in touch with these guys because they're doing important and fun music. So get out there and support it. And again, Jordan, thank you. This show is only as good as our guests saying yes. So
yeah, that's right. This was a pleasure. We look forward to the marathon.
Yeah. 21 tracks.
Me too, the filibuster version.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you're listening to the podcast, you can rate and review it. It goes a long way to help people find the show and find musicians like Jordan and Lone Piñon. So, but we just appreciate everything that you bring to the community. And until next week, keep supporting independent music and musicians. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, which helps more people discover our show and our guests.
And do you want to be a part of the live show, get a first look at upcoming guests, and receive invites to private online parties and live streams? Then join our Patreon community at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
Have a great week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party.